yours truly did not write. Somebody else wrote it, and there were some things that the board had wished they really had seen in there, and some people on the board didn't see it, so they modified the decision. Questions about any of that? It's really not that big a deal. It's going to disappear. It doesn't matter who it was. It's immaterial because it was a philosophical and a technical question. Items for 2012-2013. Frank here reminded me in a phone conversation I had with him that the special referee list probably needs updating. So if you want to be on that list, get a hold of me. If you want off the list, yeah, where is the list? Yeah, it's there. You got to look for it. I believe you can find it by signing in the TD affiliate area, and it seems to me it was somewhere else, but I don't recall offhand. Most people don't look for it when they need it in those areas. I don't know what to do about that. You can't put everything on the front page, right, Mike?
We could try.
Can you put it on the splash page?
That's nothing I have any control over. All I know is that we'll look at the list and get it revised. Right now, what's actually happening is, and I told this to Frank, the people in our states or people around the area that know us, it doesn't even matter if the area is California, Illinois, say, hey, I bet you that Tim Just guy I know, beep, 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 beep. I know that Frank Movie guy I know, beep, 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 and they call us up.
I'm pretty sure the special referees list is available on the website under the usual about USCF governance activities and interests.
Okay, I'll believe you.
A very direct and obvious route.
Yes. It's where all the forms are. I haven't figured out yet whether a form is an activity or an interest.
We wanted to put it under chest flag.
You know, the problem
Mike, this is off topic, but is there any plans to make the fine function work better there, or?
That's not my department.
Oh, okay. So you don't know the answer to that. Thank you.
The problem is that the person that needs that list is not the very experienced TD or the NTD, it is the proper local TD, and that's the person that doesn't know how to navigate through the USCF website.
I have trouble navigating that site sometimes. Come on.
Frank, have you
And
ever heard the
also-
expression preaching to the choir?
No, I understand that, but
Amen.
also we have people on that list that haven't directed an event in 10, 15 years.
Okay, but I did revise the list about 2 or 3 years ago. I took off people who I knew didn't belong there anymore.
Like Ira Riddle.
Yeah, like I wrote it down. That's right. Real hard to get a hold of him. Jennifer.
Can you publish a list once a year in stuff like? We've actually had, the annual issue would be a pretty good place for that. I had a request from somebody in Michigan who doesn't use the website at all, and oh come on, you can write this stuff down and.
I can. I don't have any control over whether it gets published or not, or whether these TDs want their phone number put in Chess Life.
Well, I'm not talking about their phone number. That's an issue. If they want, so actually, for that matter, if you want to, there's a request. If you've got a special referee list, if you agree to be a special referee, then you know that your phone number is going to be published. And so then, if you're agreeing to be on the list could be published once a year in the Just Like magazine as the annual issue, and then somebody someplace who doesn't use a computer ever would have a copy of it, and they'd have a place to go to.
I'll talk to Dan Lucas about that. He really controls what goes in the magazine. I can't just give him something and he goes, oh wow, Tim just gave me something.
No, I don't actually.
He doesn't get excited about that.
I don't expect that would be the process. I think that you take your recommendation here, it goes to the executive board, they say, this must go in the magazine, and it does.
I don't think the executive board has that influence either, but I could be wrong. Any of the executive board members want to comment on that?
Yeah, I don't think it will be a problem.
They don't want to even comment on that. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just telling you there's a process.
I understand.
And I will talk to Dan about that. He's wandering around, and when I see him this weekend, I'll ask him about that. What's a good way to get that done? Wow, that was quick. Tony.
Seems like it
A
all
lot faster than mine.
Yeah. Some guy held yours up.
Yours is still circulating.
It seems like it makes sense to also have that under the TD affiliate area of the website.
It is there.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. I recently was looking at TD affiliate area for something else, and went, oh, look at that. They put the list here. You can point and click. Cool.
And it's used. I got 2 calls in the past year. Unfortunately, both times I was away running a chess tournament when they called.
Picky, picky, picky. I get emails when I'm at some of the directing tournaments sometimes about, can you settle this dispute? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, between round 2 and 3, I can do that. I'm going to jump to item 4 real quick. We're still going to have a vice chair for 2012, 2013. Jeff Weevil filled that admirably last year. Jeff does the anal things that I just can't stand doing. And he's a good backup. He gets things done. He keeps track of votes much better than I do. He keeps track of almost everything better than I do. He's almost a great secretary. He's just really good at that kind of thing, enjoys it. And he keeps things moving along. And someday he may make a great chair if the board sees fit. TD certification age limits under 3B. I was asked by a member of the office staff to talk about this in the committee. I didn't bring, unlike my wonderful colleagues, I did not bring the exact figures with me, but we kicked it around in the committee. And there is, it's probably tipped a little bit towards no right now, might be tipped the other way. No age limits for various reasons. The people who want age limits, yeah, they can't get their act together. They're not quite sure what it should be. Now, I'm sure if we sat down and had a serious discussion about what the age limit should be if we were required to come up with one, that would not be a problem. But right now, the sentiment from the emails is that voting age should be the age limit. Let me take off my chairman's hat and say, I'm not for age limits. I know some TDs that are less than the voting age for USCF, and they do a nice job. And some of them do even better than a nice job. Do we want to cut them off? For the ones that mess up, I think we have a process, don't we? People spend their $25 and complain. I haven't seen any complaints yet about any kids like that. Do we need an age limit for older TDs? Let's not go down that road.
I wasn't sure if you were asking, is this a minimum age or
Let's not go down that road. I really... We got a discussion about that. Maybe I'd like to join in on that at some point. We didn't do this, I don't think, in the committee, but I did it with other people. Who's the oldest active NTD? I came up with Mike Zakate, but someone said that somebody out in New Jersey handed in tournaments like at the club level yet. And I'm trying to think of his name. Finance guy. Somebody help me out here.
Ken Thomas?
Pardon?
Ken Thomas?
No, he's not that old.
No, not Ken Thomas. You're not New Jersey anyway. Ken Thomas isn't.
Yes, he is.
Is he? No. There's somebody older. Somebody. The guy that got Sam Sloan seated last year.
No, he's not that old.
At any rate, that'd be interesting to find out who and you might want to define active. I think active is you turn in a tournament report. That seems pretty active to me. Zakate's pushing 70.
I know a tournament director whose name was on several tournament reports last year. He did not submit any of them.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. And what happened with that fact?
Nothing.
Well, there you go. You can't. It's like when somebody complains to the police about, did you know blah, 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 and they look and say, but did somebody file a police report? Did somebody, you can't just run around and chop people's heads off because you feel like it. I suppose you could. That problem might be solvable, and that's something I guess we could talk about, but it's something that's solvable outside the committee. We can come up with a philosophy, but someone's got to come up with the nuts and bolts. Anybody want to talk about age limits? Any feelings after what I just said? Oh, okay. I'll report back to the staff member that wanted us to talk about this and let them know that, yeah, we're kind of in a gray area.
Why don't we make a motion? How many people here think there should be age limits?
That's not a motion.
Straw poll.
Trouble, sorry.
Oh, straw poll. How many people here think we should have age limits? How many people here think we should have no age limits?
Could you make
So we have people who raise their hand if they don't care.
just a straw poll, Ken?
Oh,
Could you make it clear that that's a minimum age limit?
yeah, minimum age limit.
I don't have a struggle on that age limit.
Oh, come on. let's face it, the
How old are you?
the market out there takes care of most of the problems we talk about, like especially the older folks. You know, they'll let people do things out of respect, but after a while, if they mess up too many tournament reports and that messes up people's ratings and stuff, those TVs just aren't going to be asked back. It's just not going to happen. All right, we can't drum up a lot of enthusiasm here for that, I can see. New business. I might have had the Jaskar thing wrong there. Sorry I put it on there now. Philosophically, a technique that there's some TVs using, at least one that I know of. They don't want to fiddle with how the software works, or they don't want to fiddle with whatever they don't want to fiddle with when a GM comes to their tournament late, or a master comes late, or somebody of import comes late. So they have a non-existent player as the opponent of this person, and that person therefore gets the 1 point buy, where they normally would have won that round anyway. Yes, it's happened. What do you think of that technique? Well, if I tell you the details, you're going to figure
I
out
don't
what I'm
think
talking.
you described it.
Okay, you're running a tournament, and it's an open event, and some GM says, I can't make it. But you know he's going to slaughter his opponent first round. He's just going to kill the guy. He could probably do it blindfolded and kill the guy. And so what you do is you take this player that was made up, and you can enter him in USCF. You can just make stuff up. There's a guy already made up on the MSA. He's there. And you make sure that this guy enters your tournament, and you make sure this late GM gets paired against him, so he gets, in essence, a 1 point buy. And then because this mythical player doesn't show up, you get to withdraw from the tournament. Interesting technique. It's not the first time it's been tried. I remember when I first started directing, similar things were used. We might talk about that later. Ken?
This is essentially just giving a forfeit win against nobody.
Essentially, that's exactly what it's doing. Because you don't give people 1 point buys when they enter late.
Are you saying the Grandmaster was not there within an hour?
Oh yes, I'm saying that exactly.
Okay, just want to make sure.
There's already an ID, a non-existent ID they could even use.
So I'm just pointing out, what do you think of the technique? Worthwhile, not worthwhile? From a practical point of view, nothing magical or bad has happened. From a moral, philosophical point of view, well, that might be a different question.
Was the person paired?
Pardon?
Was the person who didn't, or who came late paired?
Which person?
The Grandmaster who came late, were they paired?
Well, he gets put in the pairings, yeah.
No, but was he paired before?
No, he's a late entry.
No,
He's a late entry.
He's a late
Then
entry.
why don't you just give him a full point buy? Is it because of hybrids?
because in a lot of, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, in the FIDE events, I don't think you can get away with that. Can you get away with the 1 point buy round one? The problem is if it's a FIDE rated section, you really have a problem now.
Okay.
Well, if it's...
Don't know if it's valid or not. The explanation I was also given is that the software they're using made it too clumsy to do anything else. I don't know that I particularly agree with that, considering that I sat there on the fly and figured out how to use the software to do that.
What software was it?
With Swissys.
Oh, I believe it.
In Swissys, it's pretty easy. You just, you delete the pairing and you just give people their appropriate buys. But you got to do that on the wall chart where you click that little key thing so you can fool around with it. That doesn't always work out well if you're not real good at playing with that stuff. Ken?
If I understand correctly, it sounds like there's possibly two different questions here. The questions being, first, the technique of using a non-existent player to achieve this result of giving a full point, a full unplayed point to the GM.
Or anything you want them to do,
Right, and it sounds like the second question might be, should one be giving full point, unplayed full points?
Yeah, so essentially the two questions.
No, that was the third question,
Oh, what's the third question?
which you only briefly touched on, which is when this result gets reported to FIDE, does it look to FIDE like you're claiming this was an actual game? that was-
Yeah, there is the FIDE question. That's true.
That's the key question, it seems to me.
If it's a non-FIDE event, it probably won't concern them in any manner whatsoever, but I doubt that this technique would be used in a non-FIDE event. Why would anybody even care?
And in all other cases, I think my answer is the same. The TV ought to learn how to get a 4-point buy and just do it.
I agree.
Falsifying records for whatever reasons is just a silly thing to do.
I agree. But I thought it might be an interesting discussion to have. You might be able to figure out who it is, you might not, it doesn't matter. Because if one person's doing it, how many other people have decided, oh, if they're doing it, I am, or, well, he got caught, but I didn't.
Well, we're advertising an event that says grandmasters get a full point by the first round.
Ah, that's different, isn't it? Well, I don't know if FIDE thinks it's different, but for USCF it's different.
I don't really think FIDE really cares about that. In 7, you can jump in on this, but when you report a tournament to FIDE, all the concern is what player plays what player to rate that event, unless it is a norm event, in which case that's not going to count.
I can see two issues. If it were an international master who's going for a grandmaster title in this event, and the fake player that he plays in the first round is from a different federation.
No,
or is a title player.
there's no player there, though. I mean, that's not a game.
Right. That's why I'm saying.
You're going to report a game that didn't take place.
Right.
That's exactly what they are
That's
doing.
why it should be a full point unplayed game and not
Well, that's
appearing
right.
against a fake opponent.
That's correct.
Was this reported as a forfeit win or an actual play win?
A forfeit win.
Okay.
I both could win.
So for practical reasons, nothing happened.
No, nothing happens.
Point of clarification, it's been suggested that something might have been reported as a played game. If it were, then this mythical character would have a FIDE record, and apparently he doesn't, or he or she doesn't.
Well, so far no one's found this technique to create a mythical record in FIDE, that's correct.
Well, that's bad news there. For the arbiter.
But it has created a mythical record in MSA.
And so
Like anybody cares, I
Somebody
mean,
had
really,
to
would
buy
someone
a
go
membership.
look this guy up because he
Yes.
walked in the door? He's not gonna walk in the door, he doesn't exist.
It'll still show zero
a
wins.
house player. You think that's the only non-existent person in MSA?
I guess.
You could just create the record, and then you could use that player, claim he's a quote house player, and then withdraw him afterwards. So you can create a non-member record.
Yeah.
don't we have an ID
I've done
for
that
that
for
purpose?
4 items in June.
5000000.
It looks odd.
Can we get rid of it?
No, it's even.
Don't know.
250001 is a different ID. That's
Well,
Seems about
I won't drag this out. Anybody got anything else they want to say I mean, it was a slow year. You got the report. We don't have much to add. Anybody got anything they want to talk about till 3 o'clock when we start the workshop for the people that want those TD credits?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
One of those hours.
Hey, I'm working on another time. I'm retired. I don't watch the clock anymore. So there. Thank you. I was wrong.
He's watching a mythical clock.
My mythical clock. That's right. Nobody has anything? All right. Meeting adjourned. Go find, there's some pop around the corner.